Hi, I am Emer Stamp, the author and the illustrator of Pests, which is, excitingly, this book, and now, super excitingly, this book, both of which glow in the dark. Now, they're all about a school for pests, the Peewit Educatorium for Seriously Terrible Scoundrels, and this school is where pests go to learn how to be the worst pest they can possibly be. The hero of the book is this little guy, Sticks. Now, also in class, you will find his best mate, Bats, as well as Maximus, the nasty class bully, Doug, the shy mole, Webbo, the hairy-legged spider, Underlay, the teeny tiny but very fast-talking carpet beetle, and Blue, the annoying buzzing fly. And of course, the teacher, Dr. Kropotkin, quite possibly the most bonkers pigeon you're ever going to meet. In their new adventure, Return of the Pests, they must protect their home and their livelihoods against the nasty Colin and his even nastier dog, the Duchess. So I thought what might be nice is for me to read you the first few chapters. Here we go. Chapter 1, I'm back. This is me, Sticks, and I'm the height of a pepper pot, the glass one that sits in the middle of the kitchen table next to the ketchup and the salt. It's quite a bit bigger than the egg cup I was the height of last time I measured myself, so I'm very pleased. I live with my grandma in a nest hidden behind the washing machine of flat 3 Peewit mansions. It's the only home I've ever known. Until recently I had never been out of the flat, but all that changed when I met my best friend Bats. She's a bat, but I'm guessing that's obvious by the name. Bats told me all about a school in the basement, a school for pests like me and her. It's called the Peewit Educatorium for Seriously Terrible Scoundrels, or Pests for short. At Pests we learn how to be the best pests we can be, how to make the biggest nuisances of ourselves and have fun bothering the mans, but without getting caught. I joined at the end of the year, which was tough as I had to catch up, but I'm really glad I did. I learnt loads, though at the end of term stuff did get pretty hairy. This crazy cockroach tried to blow up the whole of Peewit Mansions, with all of us inside it. Bats and I managed to stop him, which was kind of exciting. I can't wait for school to start again tonight, although I hope there won't be another adventure that big again. But first, it's dinner time. Just like always, we wait till the mans we live with have gone to bed, and then we sneak out and look for food. Our mans aren't so bad. They're called Schnookums, my love Boo Boo, and they have a dog called Trevor. Tonight we're in luck. They had cheesy bake. Besides pizza, this is my most favourite food. I guess Boo Boo doesn't like it that much. I find a huge blob of it on the step of her high chair and another smear on the door of the saucepan cupboard. She must have flicked it really hard to get it that far. I split the lump on the high chair in two, but Grandma says she isn't hungry, which is odd. It's not like Grandma to turn down food, especially something as yummy as this. After eating almost nothing, Grandma goes back to bed. But I'm not tired. I've still got lots of energy and I want to have some fun. At this time of night, it's always just me and Trevor, the sausage-shaped dog. Trevor's a funny creature. I don't mean in a ha-ha way, I mean in a grumpy one. Until recently he used to get cross that Grandma and I lived in the kitchen and the mans didn't know. Whenever he saw us, he'd bark and bark, trying to tell them, but of course they couldn't understand him. Mans are so stupid. They can't understand any creatures but themselves. Trevor stopped being quite so cross after I helped him save Boo Boo from the plague's Maximus's pet fleas. Maximus, by the way, is the big, horrible rat who goes to Pests and the one creature I am not looking forward to seeing. Anyway, flea defeating aside, I'm still not sure I can trust Trevor. He's a dog, after all. Grandma has a phrase, look a dog in the eye, seconds later you will die. Grandma has a lot of phrases like this. Her favourite one is, a seen mouse is a dead mouse. She's very strict about how we behave. Not being seen is a really important rule at Pests too, but we are also taught about having a little fun while the mans aren't looking. Those are the lessons I love the best. Luckily, Trevor is always asleep when I am awake, so I don't worry too much about him seeing me. Tonight, as usual, he's snoring on his fluffy dog bed next to the fridge. I have this game I like to play with him. Well, when I say with, I mean more like I play and he lies there asleep. It's called the Stick Spectacular. I started off jumping the tip of his tail, and over time I've practiced and got better and better. I'm working my way up to being able to jump over his bottom. I'm getting really good at it. I need a long run up, so I head for the far corner of the kitchen. I take 4 deep breaths, my lucky number, and then begin my run. I'm getting faster and faster, but just as I reach my takeoff point, Trevor lets out this unbelievably long and noisy fart. I've never heard anything like it. I'm so distracted that I take off all wrong, and rather than somersault over his bottom, I find myself tumbling into his soft, squishy tummy. I bounce off, landing not far from his nose. Trevor growls and my legs turn to jelly. I want to run, but spine-tingling fear has me frozen to the spot. I look up at Trevor and see him staring straight at me, looking me straight in the eye. Chapter 2. New diet. I do the only thing I can think to do. I hold my paws out in front of me like somehow they're going to save me. "Mouse," he growls. "I'm sorry," I stammer. I peek through my fingers at him. I notice Trevor's expression has shifted from one of anger to confusion. "What you doing, Mouse?" "I was, trying to jump over your, don't hurt me," I squeak. "Why I do that?" "Because you're a dog and I woke you. That wasn't my fault. Your huge fart distracted me and I tripped and fell." Trevor is silent for a moment. I feel every muscle in my body tense. Can I make it back to the washing machine before he catches me? Then he lets out a chuckle. "New diet," he grins. "High protein, dry food. Does bad things, Trevor's tummy." "Oh, right," I say, breathing a sigh of relief. "Well, it's late. I best be getting off." "Shh, Mouse. Trevor's sleeping now," he huffs, lying his head back down on his paws and closing his eyes. His tummy lets out a dangerous-sounding grumble. The second his eyes are closed, I dash back to our nest, furious with myself for so nearly getting into trouble. I really should obey Grandma's rules, and I usually do, like 99% of the time. Okay, more like 95.6% of the time. When you're a young mouse, you can't obey all the rules. If you did, you'd have no fun. Chapter 3. Pests, here I come. I fall asleep thinking about bats and all the fun we're going to have at school. I'm just in the middle of a dream where I discover I can fly too when I'm woken by a worrying noise. It sounds like someone or something is eating our nest. I sit up, rubbing furiously at my bleary eyes. "Where's Grandma? What's going on?" "Hurry," I hear her say. I turn and there she is sitting next to me, mouth stuffed with paper. "I didn't eat you." She swallows hard and smiles. Is that a letter?" I say, noticing the scribble of man's words on the final shred she's shoving into her mouth. "Yes," she declares, finishing up. "I had a sudden craving for biro ink, and that totally hit the spot." My grandma is so strange. I guess this isn't that unusual. She often does weird things, like tying knots in her tail to remember things, eating food so spicy it makes her hiccup, and clicking her fingers and toes all at once, just because she can. Eating letters does seem very odd, though, even by Grandma's standards, but I guess it's just another one to add to the list. "Come on, my boy, let's get back to sleep," she says, snuggling down and wrapping herself around me. "We want you on top form for the first night of school now, don't we?" When I wake hours later, she's still asleep, so I creep out into the kitchen alone. It's dark, and apart from the whir of the fridge, completely silent. The clock on the cooker says 11:08, still nearly an hour before school starts. I waste 34 minutes finding food. After a lot of searching, I finally find 2 very old, very dried chips behind the bin, and a large blob of cereal welded to the bottom of Boo Boo's chair. I scrape it off and divide it in 2, leaving half for Grandma. I decide to kill the rest of the time practicing one of my new stick skills. These are special moves I invent. I'm adding to them all the time. This evening I'm going to practice the sticks squeeze. Basically, I have to fit myself into the smallest space I can find. I start off with the toe of My Love's slipper. It's rather smelly, but very easy. A slightly harder test is one of Boo Boo's much smaller shoes. I still manage it. I look around for something even trickier, the little finger of the left washing up glove. It's a tight squeeze, but yes, I manage it. For my finale, I choose one of Boo Boo's toy cars. I find it discarded in the hallway. I'm just wrestling the final part of myself in when I hear Grandma. "Evening, darling," she says, peering in through the small car's tiny windscreen. "What are you doing in there? Isn't it time for school?" I scramble out of the car and glance up at the clock. 11:55! How have I gone from being way too early for school to being seriously late? I give Grandma a quick goodbye hug and scamper up the kitchen drawers, quick as I can, and slide down into the kitchen sink and over to the plug hole. This is the entrance to the hidden highway for Flat 3, the secret tunnel that takes you all the way down to Pests in the basement. I wiggle myself down through the plug hole and into the waste pipe below. I let go and feel my body start to slide. Woohoo! Pests! Here I come. Chapter 4. Professor Doug. In no time at all, I reach the basement. I tumble out of the tunnel and my nose fills with the familiar smell of old paper, stale clothes and dusty furniture. I've been trained well enough by Grandma to know that no matter how familiar you are with somewhere, you can never run straight out. I place my nose on CSM, constant sniff mode, and tiptoe, using a new silent stepping technique I've been working on, through the piles of boxes and stacks of old junk towards the tatty old wardrobe that is our classroom. Tiptoe, sniff, sniff, tiptoe. My heart starts beating faster, the fur along my back stands on end, and my paws begin to tingle. My inbuilt mouse fear seems to have kicked in. We mice are naturally always so careful, always so cautious. Swoosh! Boomf! Something hits me, sending me tumbling across the floor and into an old roll of carpet. I let out an involuntary squeak of terror as a cloud of dust erupts around me. Hee-ha! Hee-ha! Didn't see that coming, did you? Laughs a familiar voice. Bats! I choke crossly. You scared me. I thought I was being attacked. Well, you were, by me. Hee-ha! She laughs and laughs, pressing her big bat face up close to mine and crossing her eyes. Good to see you, for real, in the flesh, she says, pulling back. By the way, have you grown? You look a bit taller. I mean, not that much, a fraction, a titchy bit. I'd say a smidge, a little. Good to see you too, Bats, I interrupt. I'd forgotten just how much my best friend likes to talk. I can't stay angry with her, though. There is something about her that makes it impossible. I can't help but smile. It's been ages, I say. I know, too long. Come on, let's go. If we don't hurry up, we're going to be late. And a moment later, she's flying off towards the wardrobe. Sticks and bats, she sings, sticks and bats together again, dum-de-doo. It's terribly out of tune, which just makes me laugh more. We reach the tatty old lamp that lies propped up against the wardrobe, the route up to the classroom, for those of us who can't fly. In my excitement, I scurry up so quickly that as I reach the top, I lose my footing and trip off the end. I tumble across the floor of the wardrobe, coming to a halt at a pair of broad pink feet. Well, hello, Sticks. Good to see you, says Doug the Mole with a smile, offering me a large paw. Dude! Cries Webber the Spider, galloping over. Give me 5, he says, high-fiving me while balancing on one leg. Hello, Sticks, my old friend, though you're not actually that old, so really more like a young friend, really, gabbles Underlay, the carpet beetle, poking her head out from under Doug's large tummy. I manage to catch the words hello and friend. Blue takes great pleasure in buzzing his large blue bottle body around my head super fast. My eyes try to keep up, but I soon become dizzy and have to stop. Above me, Bat settles herself on the clothes rail. It's so great to see you all, I say, unable to stop my face breaking into a stupidly big grin. And it's great to see you too, Minnie Mouse. I hear a horribly familiar voice snigger from behind me. A bitter scent hits my nose and my heart sinks. I spin round just in time to see a large rat leap off the end of the lamp and onto the wardrobe floor. He lands with a heavy thump. It's Maximus, the class bully who last time made it his mission to ruin my life. I'd hoped after all the trouble he got himself at the end of the year, he'd be a bit nicer. Clearly not. He shakes his body and pulls himself up to his full height. He's gone from giant to gigantic, and now looks even more capable of doing horrible things to me. I fight the urge to run to the back of the wardrobe and hide. Whoa! Someone had a massive growth spurt, Webbo says with a grin. Yeah, I have, so you better watch out, snarls Maximus. I can't believe it. Even his teeth are bigger. He pushes his way to the back of the classroom while rubbing his left ear with his paw. What happened to your ear? You got growing pains in it? Asks Webbo, still chuckling away. Maximus pulls his paw away. I notice that his ear looks red and sore. I hurt it fighting a cat, he mutters. The cat came off worse. A cat? Really? I hear a high-pitched voice come from somewhere on his body, followed by another. You couldn't beat up a caterpillar! It's the fleas that live in his fur, Plague 1 and Plague 2. They're sitting on his shoulder, falling about laughing like they've just made the funniest joke ever. Be quiet, Maximus growls, slapping at them. He plonks himself down directly behind me. I stare straight ahead, determined not to show how scared I am of him. The rest of the class has gone quiet too, and that's when I realise something is wrong. Our teacher, Dr. Kropotkin, a hell-raising pigeon with a big ringed A for Anarchy emblazoned on her chest, isn't here yet. She always gets to class before us. Tonight, all that's at the front of the class is a rusty tin of red paint. Where is she? Buzzes Blue. Maybe she forgot school starts tonight, gabbles Underlay. Ace! An extra day of holiday, cheers Webbo, clapping his legs. Probably just a bit late, that's all, says Doug so quietly. Even I have strained my ears to hear him. Maybe we should just get on and start without her. I could suggest something we could do, if you like. The mole wants to play teacher, Maximus laughs cruelly. Ha ha! I'd like to see the whispering Wally try. At least he's got the brains to do it. Who was Pest of the Year last year, says Bats. She points her wing at Doug. Him, not you. Maximus shoots her a look of disgust, and in return Bats pokes out her tongue. She's so funny. I love her so much. I think Doug will make a great stand-in teacher, I say, patting him on his large furry shoulder. What do you think we should do, Doug? Well, he says, raising his voice a fraction louder, I was thinking we could start with a show and tell. You know, demonstrate something we've learnt over the break. Good idea, Teacher Doug, says Underlay, giving him a big thumbs up. I will go first if you like. Check this out for fast. She jumps out of the wardrobe, and in a matter of seconds she chews the old rug in the centre of the basement in two. Been practising faster chomp, she declares proudly. Next up, Webbo shows off his new super-duper hairy legs, which apparently have grown twice as long over the holiday. He proudly demonstrates their superior tickling power on Doug, who is soon in fits of giggle, wriggling on the floor, begging for him to stop. Next up, Blue shows us his new rocket speed. He circles our head so fast that we can't even see him. Then Bat shows us this hilarious thing she calls the ghost bat. She flits over to a big bag of something or other tucked away on a wobbly old set of shelves on the other side of the basement and disappears inside it. Seconds later she bursts out again, but this time she's a ghostly shade of white. "Whoa," says Webbo. "Spooky, what is that?" "Cement powder," she says, grinning. "I've only tried it with flour before, but this works just as well." She then proceeds to swoop over us, making eerie squeaking noises and dousing us with a thin layer of powder. Doug announces that he's been teaching himself to write Mans, which he says is not necessarily a mole talent, but one he is clearly very proud of. Using a long claw, he scratches the letters H-E-L-O into the floor on the wardrobe. We all clap apart from Maximus, who yawns loudly. "Is that all you've really got?" he says, his words clearly wounding poor Doug. "Well, the best should be saved for last, and since there's 2 of us left, looks like it's your turn, loser." He shoves me forward. I ignore him and make my way over to the side of the wardrobe. I've decided to show off my paw stand. Another new skill I've been working on. If nothing else, I hope it will impress Bats. I place my paws on the ground and flick my back legs up. I look up at Bats and smile. Now we're both upside down, which makes her the right way up for once. "Awesome," she cries, waving at me excitedly. I lower my back feet down, feeling pretty pleased with myself. Maximus rolls his eyes. "Okay, losers, now it's time for me to show you what real skill is, because I've been learning how to chew through live electrical cables." He boasts. "If I can just find one, I'll show you numpties how it's done." I don't think so, darling," says a voice from the other side of the basement. It's Dr. Kropotkin at last. With a soft flap of her wings, she swoops across the room, skimming over Maximus's head and landing neatly on her one good foot on top of the paint tin. "No chomping cables on my watch. I can't have one of my pupils making a mistake and blowing themselves up now, can I?" We all let out a small gasp. But it's not her words that have shocked us, it's her appearance. She looks terrible. Her feathers are wild and messy, and both her small and large eyes have a wild look in them, even wilder than usual, like she hasn't slept for a long time. "Well, don't just sit there staring," she says, taking up her usual position at the front of the wardrobe. "Switch your brains on. It's time for class." "Whoa," whispers a worried-sounding Doug. "That's one super stressed-looking pigeon." Chapter 5. Dr. Crap-Watkin. "So, good evening, darlings," says Dr. Kropotkin briskly, brushing down her untidy feathers. I notice she no longer has the large anarchic A painted across her chest. "Many apologies for my tardiness. Good to see you've been keeping yourselves amused in my absence." She glances down at the floor next to Doug's feet. "For the record, there are 2 L's in hello. But this is a wonderful new skill, Doug. Very impressive, darling. Now, to start the new term, I would like to introduce you to the new revised rules of pests." "New rules?" whispers Doug, sounding surprised. Dr. Kropotkin pulls a lump of chalk from under a tatty wing and on the blackboard in large capital letters writes 1. A good pest is never seen. 2. A good pest is never seen. 3. A good pest is never seen. 4. A good pest is never seen. And 5. A good pest is never seen. She's clearly made a mistake. Perhaps her brain is as jumbled as her feathers. Where are the old rules? A good pest is heard but never seen. A good pest is always one step ahead. A good pest bothers but never harms. A good pest has fun but covers its tracks. A good pest never goes too far. But they're all the same," says Webbo. "Indeed they are. That is because this is the only rule that is important now. Our sole focus this term is to keep ourselves safe and hidden. There will be no pestiness, no bothering, no messing around. There will be no having of the fun. Do you get me, darlings?" My heart sinks. I've been so looking forward to coming back to school and doing lots of exciting stuff. Surely she must be joking. "And that," she says, pausing as if momentarily lost in thought, "will be all for this evening. You are free to leave. Just remember, rules 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. I glance up at Bats. She looks surprised as me. This is strange, even by Dr. Kropotkin's odd standards. "Chippity-chop, darlings," she says, herding us out with her large wings. "Off you go." "Whoa, I mean, what was all that about?" says Bats as we make our way back across the basement. "It's like they took out her anarchic brain and put in a super boring one instead." "Can someone really do that?" I reply, horrified at the thought. "Of course they can't," she laughs, swooping down and giving me a playful shoulder nudge. "I'm just messing with you. But something odd's going on, that's for sure." "Yeah," I say, "let's hope whatever's happened to her unhappens fast." "Couldn't agree more, amigo," she chortles. "Well, see you tomorrow, I guess." And with a shrug she flits off and out through the air vent at the top of the wall. As I head for the hidden highway back to flat 3, I feel very disappointed that tonight wasn't quite the fun first day back I'd hoped for. Chapter 6. Not Grandma again. I get back to our nest just before dawn. School might not have been very exciting, but I'm still pooped. However, it hardly feels I've been asleep at all when I'm woken by the sound of munching again. I can't believe it. Grandma's eating another letter. I left her with a perfectly good-sized blob of cereal for dinner. Why would she need to eat a letter as well? She finishes and lets out a small burp that smells strongly of biro ink. Are you okay? I ask. Oh, yes, my dear boy, I'm just fine, she replies chirpily. Your old grandma is just tickety-boo. All the better for having eaten that biro ink. Yum! As I drift off back to sleep, I can't help feeling that she's not telling me the truth. But I don't know what else to say or ask. I think about the first day at school and how odd Dr. Kropotkin was. Why are both the elders in my life behaving so strangely? I wake up feeling more tired than when I went to bed. Grandma is still asleep as I wake my way out across the kitchen. From the boxes by the door, I know it's been pizza night. This cheers me a little. The Mans always leave a few crusts in the box, and these days, sometimes even a slice. Grandma says Schnookums is on something the Mans called a diet, which is a very strange thing indeed. Who wouldn't want to eat all of their food? Not me, that's for sure. Especially not when it's pizza. I love pizza. All that yummy cheese, what mouse wouldn't? My mouth starts watering before I've even reached the boxes. I wiggle inside and I'm just wrestling a long chewy line of delicious mozzarella into my mouth when I hear the faint sound of an unfamiliar man's coming from outside the beyond, the area the other side of the frontier door. Whoever it is in the hallway outside the flat. The only other man's I ever hear is Tarquin from flat 4, but it's not him, and there aren't often visitors on this floor. Not this late at night anyway. I clamber out of the pizza box and press my ear to the door. The man's is talking to someone, but I can't make out what he's saying. I am expressly forbidden from going out into the beyond, another of Grandma's many rules, but I'm dying to see who it is. Who would be walking around our corridor so late at night? I'll just slide under the door and have a little peek and then slide back. Grandma will never know. I mean, honestly, what harm can it do? Chapter 7. Stranger Danger. I press myself flat to the floor and wiggle my body underneath the door. I squeeze out the other side, then flatten myself against the door frame. In front of the large window at the end of the hallway, silhouetted in the moonlight, I see the shape of a man's. His sweet, sickly scent hits my nose, making me want to gag. The only thing I can really make out about him is his bizarre hair. It sits on top of his head like a crashing wave of water. As he moves, I catch a glimpse of something else. Some kind of creature tucked into the crook of his arm. It looks like a cross between a dog and a mop. In the other hand, the man's is holding a spray can, the same size and shape as the one my love uses to clean the furniture, but something tells me this man is not here to polish. Mummy may have turned a blind eye to you, my hairy-legged little friend, but sadly for you, she's gone now. The man leans forward to address a tiny black dot on the wall. So I'm in charge, and you know what that means. His voice suddenly switches from soft and caring to harsh and cruel. It means your time is up. But don't be too sad. Yes, you're going to die horribly and painfully, but you will also have the privilege of being the first to be sprayed with my new, improved killing formula. Isn't he such a lucky boy, Dutchy Poo? The mop dog lets out a sharp yap, and the black dot suddenly shoots up the wall. Quick as a flash, the man hoses it in spray, and the dot stops dead in its tracks and falls to the floor. Don't worry, death will come swiftly, cackles the man, turning and walking back down the corridor, straight towards me. I tuck myself even tighter into the doorframe, praying he won't see me as he strides down the corridor in his big black shoes, which I noticed are pointed and very shiny. I hold my breath as he gets closer and closer, so close I can smell his shoe polish. Then he walks straight past me. I let out a sigh of relief as he reaches the other end of the hallway, but then he does something very unexpected. He goes up the stairs rather than down. Why would he do that? Grandma says there is only something called the attic up there, which is just the storage space at the top of the block. No one lives there. But I don't have time to give it any further thought, because from the other end of the hallway I hear a faint, croaky cry. The poor creature the man sprayed. I rush over and find an old spider. His body is shuddering, and his long legs are curled up tightly around him.
"Oh, he got me good and proper," he rasps. "This hallway used to be a safe haven, not anymore. Cruel, nasty man's, killing me, and all for what? A nice clean wall. He doesn't care I've got a wife and 323 children to look after. You need to get away from here, Mouse," he says, prizing a weak leg from his body and trying to shoo me away. "Before he gets you as well. That's what he does him. He's a pest-killing machine." The poor spider's body judders violently, and all 4 of his eyes roll in his head.
But I just can't leave you here like this, I protest.
The dachshunds are at work already. A young un like you's got no chance of saving me.
Then I'll take you to an elder, I say, and before I've even had a chance to think through what I'm suggesting, I pull him up onto my back and start running as quickly as I can down the hallway. It's nearly time for Pests. If I can just get into Dr. Kropotkin, I'm sure she'll be able to help. As I pass by the door of flat 4, I notice it's ajar. I catch a glimpse inside. All Tarquin's stuff is gone, replaced by some strange-looking machines. But I've no time to wonder about that either. I have a dying spider on my back, and I need to get him to the basement. Fast. Well, there we go. I hope those first few chapters have tickled your fancy, and that maybe you'll pick up the book and read on and find out exactly who that horrible man's is and what exactly he is up to. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys, and as ever, I look forward to seeing you all on my channel again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.